Hello and welcome to a brand spanking new video here in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. Now, I was actually quite surprised. I actually surprised myself that I was actually going to make this video at all. For the last week I have had quite a niggly cold, and up till me pressing record I was still under the impression I still wasn't going to make a video. However, well, let's put it this way, if you find the video, then my voice managed to stay in one piece. But if it does sound a little bit weird, that's because, basically, well, my voice is a little bit, well, it's recovering. So anyway, we are back here at the scenery here at Saint Martin. We are at Princess Juliana International Airport, and we are going to be taking one of my favourite GA aircraft for a little flight around the island from one airport and into another airport. We are, like I say, at Saint Martin Island in the Caribbean. A lovely piece of scenery, and we are going to be flying out of Princess Juliana and flying into Grand Case Airport, which is the other airport on the island, which, as we sit at them currently, is basically over the hill there somewhere. I couldn't be bothered to rent a car, so I decided to take my aircraft. So, why is the A2A aircraft here considered to be, in my view, one of the best GA aircraft? Well, for those that don't know, A2A have been in the flight simulator industry for years. They were part of FS 2004, FSX, P3D. I believe they've made versions of their aircraft for X-Plane, and now they're in Flight Simulator 2020, and they will be in 2024. Now, what makes this company different from, let's say, Just Flight, and Just Flight, I'm saying, do make some very good GA aircraft. This aircraft here is an actual copy of a real Comanche 250. It's owned by the owner of A2A, or creator of A2A, and it gives them license and ability to create an extremely accurate rendition of, in this case, the Comanche 250. Now, here in Flight Simulator 2020, we only have the Comanche 250. I have heard rumours that there is another aircraft in the development stage, but that's, you know, whether that will come out for this sim or 2024, we don't know yet. In FSX, they were renowned for creating the best GA aircraft and warbirds. Believe it or not, they actually created aircraft like the Spitfire, the Mustang, the Harvard or Texan in America, and they lent their skill and passion into creating these aircraft. It's very hard for me to explain to somebody when I say, well, when they ask me what is the greatest, best manufacturer of aircraft in Flight Simulator, and I'm going to say, personally, I think A2A is certainly up there. And when they ask, well, why? Well, it's because it is realism, and that's the key word they use when they come up with their aircraft. It's not just good enough to look like or sound like the real aircraft of which they're trying to copy. It has to feel like that aircraft, and it's hard to do in Flight Simulator, I know, because at the end of the day I'm not sitting in a real cockpit of a Comanche. But things on the exterior, it is just second to absolute none. You know, you really zoom in, you can see rivets. I know you have a lot of companies nowadays creating aircraft like this, and some do it very good. A lot of companies do it very good. Yeah, some companies still need a little bit of work, you know, to polish their aircraft. But this aircraft here is just absolutely fantastic. We'll ignore the repaint. I'll talk about the repaint in a few minutes. But this is just realism turbocharged. It's what we're describing A2A. It's just fantastic. You could reach out and touch this aircraft. It is so realistically created. Everything. Like I say, they have a real 250 Comanche, so that, you know, it's not just a cockpit that will function and look like the real 250 Comanche. You know, they have the ability to get into the nuts and bolts of this aircraft and create an absolute masterpiece. And that's what, take no doubt about it, this is a true iconic masterpiece of Microsoft Flight Simulator. I know there are going to be people out there that are going to say, well, the Just Flight package is better, or, you know, Carenado can make a particular aircraft better. Again, not taking anything away from Just Flight or Coronado, but A2A is just that few steps higher up the list. Downside, they do take their time making new aircraft. You know, this is not a company that pumps out aircraft for sales. They will create this aircraft, and it will take a long time to create this aircraft, and they will then keep supporting the aircraft, updating the aircraft. It had an update as of this video being made. I downloaded the latest update, I think it was last week, and it's like they will change how the aircraft, they'll change the functionality of the cockpit in making it more realistic. You know, they'll notice that something wasn't quite right. The mixture rate may not be right at a certain altitude under a certain power setting, so they'll tweak it. It's that level of finesse and expertise that we pay for with A2A products. And like I say, this aircraft here, the 250 Comanche, is absolutely fantastic. So if we actually jump inside, it is exactly what you would expect. This is a fully functioning study level aircraft. Okay, everything here works. It's not one of these aircraft where, you know, something does not work. It's like something over there, you're not going to use it, so why would we model it? No, A2A have modeled it, and everything, it's a living machine. You have to look after this aircraft. It will foul up. It will need maintenance. And it just lends itself. I mean, the externals looked great. Internally speaking, it is exactly what you would expect from a 250 Comanche. I've seen these aircraft, and yes, they may look a little bit more worn in places, but this is quite a good cockpit in the fact of this one is worn. You can actually look at the dash here. You can see this, the paint's been scraped off in the use of the aircraft. It's that realistic. Paint's flicked off here and there. I can't get over that's how realistically this aircraft is created. It is, in my view, one of the greats. If I should look in the back, which I've just gone straight into my seat, we have very good texturing. I mean, you know, we can put people in the back of this aircraft, but I don't generally. I just fly on my own. And it is, like I say, fully functioning. Everything works just how it should work. So, like I say, we are going to take this aircraft from Princess Juliana International Airport, and we are going to be flying it out over the mountains. We're actually going to go around the coast a little bit. I'm going to have a little nav map up and running so you can see the flight as I go along. And we're going to be flying into Grand Case Airport, an airport that's a little bit smaller than Princess Juliana. It is a secondary airport here on the island. It's not far away. Like I say, it's just over the mountains, hills, whatever we like to call them. But yeah, so now I've finished prattling on about this. It's now time to demonstrate just how much of a good aircraft, a great, fantastic aircraft this is here in the flight sim. So, welcome back to the cockpit of the A2A Comanche 250. We've gone through the externals, we've gone through the internals. Now it's time to make this aircraft live. So, what we're going to do, we've actually removed a few of the things. There is a laggy band which connects the controls, which is essentially a control lock. Some aircraft have big metal things. The A2A Comanche here has a laggy band, which is this band right down here. If we actually click on it, that's literally it. That's their version of a control lock. So obviously we will remove that. We don't need that. So let's go with... we're going to need a battery on. We are going to need a rotating beacon. We shall check that the parking brakes are set. And it... go on. Sped up. The reason why I have a little difficulty putting the brakes on, it's actually, you have parking brakes, you have wheel brakes. Parking brake is essentially your handbrake. In the A2A, in the real A2A aircraft, you have to press the foot brakes before you can pull and lock the parking brake. So they simulated that here in the sim. So I have to press my wheel brakes and hold the wheel brakes, then tap the parking brake for the parking brake lever, which is down here, to be pulled out and locked in place. It's that, like I say, it's the little teeny weeny things that make this aircraft so good. Fuel cocks are open and on main tanks. Mixture is full. Actually, we'll just drop that back a little bit. Prop pitch is full. Throttle is quarter open. Fuel pump is coming on. So lights are on, brakes are set. We shall give this a little bit of a prime. We'll give it 4 for look. So we're clear on the left side, clear on the right side, clear at the front. Clear prop. Mags coming on to both, and let's hope this starts. It sometimes doesn't start. This is, like I say, a realistic aircraft. And this time starts up first time. So we'll bring the mixture back a little bit to lean it out. We want to be looking at about 1000 RPM, which is the RPM gauges up here. We can turn off the fuel pump. Fuel pressure is good. Oil pressure is in the green. Oil temperature is already in the green and climbing. Cylinder head temperature will start to climb as we idle. So we can turn on the avionics. We're running the GTN 750, one of my great sat-nav options we have here. We do have a more original setup, so we would have the more archaic, shall we say, system, but in this case we have set up for the GTN 750, so we shall flight plan. So it's already worked out that we are at Princess Juliana, which is TNCM, and we shall set our destination, which, if I bring up this, I'm using the nav map at the moment. I will be bringing that up once we start taxiing. So that's Tango, Foxtrot, Foxtrot, Golf. Tango, Foxtrot, Foxtrot, and Golf. Grand case. We don't need a at a waypoint. So that's given us a rough magenta line, which would take us directly to the airport, which is over there somewhere. We're not going to be flying that. We'll be flying out a slightly different route. We are going to set, because we're in, yeah, I think 1200 is the VFR for a transponder code. So, monitoring the T's and P's, again, oil temperature's now come up, cylinder head is off the bottom, and we'll start to fill in. Shut that up because we don't really need that. So we have a rotating beacon. We'll have the strobe lights on when we get out to the main runway. We've done the video from Princess Juliana before. We taxied out onto the main runway, which is sat behind us, and we'll be departing out on runway 10. This time we're going to be making a taxi route. We're going to be actually using the taxi route, I should say, which is the outside the yellow line here, and we will go around the airport to join onto runway 10. So let's set up little nav map. Hopefully that comes up. I'm sorry that you know, I like to try and bounce the little nav map all over the air, all over the screen, basically because, you know, I like to show you guys where it is that I'm flying in relation to real world. But obviously I can't put it in the bottom right because obviously it covers up the controls and the instrumentation. But obviously I've tried putting it in the top right and the bottom left. Well, today I think it's in the bottom left, so it will be down here. Hopefully it works. Hopefully it looks all right. So, like I say, altimeter, we shall make sure they're all running correctly. We're not going to be using autopilot on this flight. It is quite a short flight. We'll set to have a GPS. I don't really need that. This is one of those aircraft, like I say, you have to look after to get the best out of it. But like I say, the route we'll be taking, the taxi route I should say, will give us plenty of time to warm up the aircraft. So if we look at the little nav map, we're going to be joining the taxiway to our left, going past the Echo, Delta and Charlie entries into our taxiways onto the runway. We'll be taking the Alpha taxiway and moving all the way down to the end of the runway. The runway here at Princess Juliana is more than ample for our needs. This is an airport that takes 747s. So yeah, little Comanche 250 will be fine. A little check on the controls, always a good idea before we get going. So we are set, coming off parking brake, and we'll start rolling forward straight away. Now you may be wondering, when I was showing the external part of this video, or the external part of this aircraft even, the repaint. I was saying I was going to talk about this. It is a fictitious repaint. It is themed after the United States Air Force demonstration team, the Thunderbirds. There is literally a boatload of repaints and textures for this aircraft. It was available on flightsim.to, I believe is where I got it. I've got this a long time ago. There are some brilliant creators. They're absolutely fantastic and really do know a lot about repaint, texture creation. And they will create, real renditions of real Comanche 250s. And I was looking around, and I'd wanted something that looked a little bit different. And being a fan of military aviation, or aircraft in general even, I just decided, that the Thunderbird one was the one for me. So 9 times out of 10, if you see me flying Comanche 250, it will be flying in this colour scheme. Obviously, I don't know if the registration number exists in real world. I might have to check that one day. I'm quite fascinated to see if it actually does exist. Sounds play a massive part in the creation of A2A aircraft, and as you can hear it bouncing, as it goes along the concrete. Everything squeaks, everything creaks. Controls work, in the fact of that you can hear noises. I've actually got a simulation of the headset working, and what I mean by this is, if you look down, there is a cable running down here, and basically it simulates the muffledness of wearing a headset. If I actually take that off, which would be, if I could just click over to that, you actually hear more of the sounds. So to tell you the truth, I'm actually going to we're going to fly this flight like this and let you hear the sounds of the A2A Comanche. So we're going to do our run-ups here. We don't have to worry about anyone being behind us, because as always we don't actually have any A2A, have any other aircraft here with us. So we're going to run up to about 2,000 RPM. RPM gauge is up here, like I say. Hold it at 2,000. We're then going to check the mags. So we'll be moving to the left mag, then the right mag, checking the loss of revs on the RPM gauge. We will then be testing the prop pitch lever by pulling it all the way back and noticing the sound and the quickness of how the aircraft loses the RPMs. So, like I say, we're up to 2,000. We're sat on the parking brakes. So there's 2,000. Left mag, and we notice a drop. Move back up to both. Goes back to 2,000. Next mag, again, drop. So that's all within acceptable limits. I believe the limits are about 390 no more RPM loss on each mag. So now we are going to pull back on the prop pitch all the way. And how fast the engine recovers back to its 2000s. Do that again. And everything checks out A-OK. So we will have fuel pump on. We're not going to need the pitot heat on because, let's face it, we're in the Caribbean. Strobe lights are on. We're not going to need flaps for this takeoff. Parking brake released, rolling out to runway 10. Nav map a little bit so you can see a little bit more of what's going on. So, mixture is full, prop pitch is full forward, throttle is set, flaps we don't need. Undercarriage we'll be retracting on takeoff, obviously. Right, flight route out will be taking off probably about halfway down the runway, knowing this runway is quite a long runway. We'll be heading out in between Coal Bay and Pelican Key, if you actually look at a little nav map, and heading out over the coast. We shall be probably airborne around 80, 85. So in that ballpark, I can't officially remember what the actual speeds are for this aircraft. Anything else we need? We've got a long enough runway. We can make a emergency landing on this runway. If we are airborne, well, we'll just have to judge it as we go. So, flaps not needed. Power settings set. Going off the brakes, sitting on the wheel brakes. And we're off. There's 85 and the aircraft wants to take off itself. Undercarriage coming up. Looking for our route. And we're going to be flying in between the hills here. Click on it. Don't need the fuel pump now. It's just such a lovely piece of scenery, this is. St. Martin. An aviation spotter's paradise. like I say, the A2A Comanche 250 is, you know, I keep saying it's one of the best. I remember talking to a few aviation flight sim fanatics on a Facebook page, and they were discussing about what is the best GA aircraft out there, and I'd still say it is the A2A Comanche 250. And the only time we're going to get a better aircraft in GA side of it is when A2A release a new aircraft. Yes, they are in cahoots and the process of creating a new aircraft. I have read somewhere it's going to be a nice twin-engined aircraft. Honestly, I thought it was going to be a Cessna, but it is going to be something a little bit different, hopefully, with fingers crossed. When they create their aircraft, obviously this is a real copy of a real aircraft that they have in their collection. It's owned by the owner of A2A, or creator of A2A. And it allows them to create such a fantastic aircraft. Now, the aircraft that they're going to bring out, hopefully for Microsoft 2020 and 2024, I doubt. Well, I don't doubt, that probably will do. I can't remember off the top of my head what it is, but they do create, they go into the details of going into that particular aircraft because it's one they own, it's one they have easy access to. Now, the reason why I have heard that it's been delayed and there seems to be more concentration on getting this aircraft updated than there is in getting a new aircraft out into the sim, is that the aircraft in question, well, it had a bit of a problem resulting in an accident. So, you know, the priorities are obviously that everyone needs to be all right in the company and in the aircraft that had the accident, and you know, it means it's going to delay the project for the flight simulator. So we are approaching Grand Case. It's not a very big island. Grand Case is actually to our 11/10 o'clock now. We're not going to fly straight in now because that would be a very quick video. So we're going to fly out to the right, and we are going to go past this island. Actually, going to go to the top of St. Martin and come back in again. We should be landing at Grand Case on runway 30, which is the runway you see ahead of us now, or passing under our left wing. I actually wasn't going to be flying the A2A Comanche today. I actually set up to fly a different aircraft, and I have actually downloaded the latest sim update. I believe it's sim update 15. No, I haven't got sim update 15. Sim update's not been released yet, has it? It's beta still. But for some reason, anyway, the aircraft of which I was wanting to fly decided it didn't want to start. So I was sat around for 10 minutes trying to scratch my head as to why this thing wasn't starting. So you get the Comanche today, which, to be honest, I should have done a video on the Comanche before. It is a fantastic airplane, and it does feature on our YouTube picture logo. Come back in, and we're going to swing around, head towards runway 12 at Grand Case. We're not going to land or anything, we're just going to fly straight over the airfield. We'll offset our approach back in for runway 30. What I have noticed in this particular aircraft is it is fast and does not like to bleed its speed very quickly, so you do need to plan your approaches. will be flying other aircraft as well into other islands that are local to Saint Martin. We got Saint Bart Island, which is over to the right. You can see it at the moment. Rather interesting approach pattern, to say the least, in that airport. Whichever way you come in. One approach has you flying down a hill, and the other approach has you flying straight towards the hill. So we're going to need, if I can get the mouse back, thank you. Fuel pump is on. Landing lights not really needed, we're on bright daylight. We're going to round this island and start our approach, descending as well. Obviously, as I've mentioned, I think in a previous video, descents over water can be quite interesting because it just appears flat. It's quite hard to judge your altitude and your rate of descent, so it does require that you look at your instruments. Start rounding the island now. Keeping an eye on our altitude and rate of descent. Always seems that every landing, no matter where you go in this area of the world, it's always an interesting landing. It's not like a nice long runway with no hills or any other obstructions. There always has to be something in the way. So constantly trimming the aircraft out as we lose our speed. Flaps coming down to one stage. Gear coming down. Retrimming as the hanging wheels take effect. Mixture is full. Prop pitch is full. So if we do need to make a bolter, get going quite quickly. Got a long enough runway. It's shorter than Princess Juliana, but should be fine for our purposes. So landing checks, we have fuel pump is on, landing lights are not required at this time. Flaps are down to one stage. Runway is in sight. Still descending. Airspeed's about 100. We do have to fly over some houses, which I bet in the real world is quite interesting. Flaps 2-stage. Try and keep our height a little bit over these houses. Want to be aiming for just after the piano keys. Throttle chopped. Main wheels and nose wheel. Actually got 2 taxiways, I believe, here at Grand Case. Open up the window, get some fresh air into the aircraft. Just zoom that up for everyone. Not many parking spots here, so we are going to be heading towards the main terminal building. Flaps rolling up. And so, there we go. Strobe lights coming off. Engine off. Avionics will be coming off. Rotating beacon off. Battery lights off. Mixture pulled back. Pop mixture pulled back. Throttle shut. You might be wondering why I do that. This aircraft has state saving. I know quite a few aircraft now come out with state saving. What state saving does is obviously when I shut this aircraft down and I shut the sim down, it'll actually remember the state of the aircraft. So I try and leave it in as best a position for my next flight. So as well, while we're at it, we will shut fuel cocks off as well. It's always something I forget about. They're usually buried right down there. And we shall shut that up. And we shall put the highly technical control locks on. So there we go. Welcome to Grand Case Airport here in in Saint Martin even. I don't know why I clicked on that. Saint Martin. I will be flying over to St. Bart's. This is the sort of, even if I can say it right, aircraft that St. Bart's can take. It's only a propeller aircraft that can go into St. Bart's. I'll show you St. Bart's. It's a fantastic airport. It's a fantastic challenge as well. If you want to test your aviation skills, I suggest have a look at St. Bart's. It's fantastic. There is other airports as well in the area which will be quite interesting. So we will be flying to and from different airports. I'm going to try and get the original aircraft that I wanted to get in this video up and running. I don't know why that's decided to not work, but I couldn't figure out if it was me or the sim, but you know, I've had a cold, so that's what I'm blaming it on. So I hope you found this video informative. I hope you found it fun, and I will see you guys and girls in a future flight sim related video very, very soon.